Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make the head for our doll, and I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and digitize it with the Design Center in my sewing machine. You don't have to do it this way. You could paint it or hand embroider it if that's what you'd like to do, but just to add a little bit from the Stellaire in here, let's go ahead and make it in the Design Center for those of you who want to. So what we're going to do, I've got this grid in here and it's set to 1 inch. So I know that if I zoom in, if I use 4 squares, I'm probably going to be using about 4 inches. I want to keep that face within those 4 inches. So the first thing I want to do is I want to use a circle, and I'm going to put a circle in here, and then I'm going to size it, and I'm going to make it smaller. And that's probably a good size to get started with. I can change it later if I want to. And then I'm going to duplicate that and make it even smaller. And I'm going to put it up here towards the top here, like that. Let's make it a little bigger than that. There, that works good. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to fill this with color. I'm going to tap this and I'm going to pick a blue and pour and hit blue. And then I'm going to pick black and tap black. And then I'm going to use my paintbrush, which I haven't used yet. So you might not have really know where you can use this. If I hit up here, you have some different choices on paintbrush sizes. I'm going to use the littlest dot one that I possibly can. I'm going to make it white. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to tap. So I have a little dot right there. And that kind of puts a highlight in there for my eye. So I don't know why I did that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this whole eye and I'm going to duplicate it, and we're going to move them next to each other. Let's move the zoom over, move her over probably about right like that. That looks pretty good. So unfortunately there isn't a mirror image in here so I could draw the whole eye, so I have to do one at a time. So now I'm going to use the paintbrush again, and I'm going to pick black, and I'm just going to kind of just go over and around like this. And because it's a paintbrush, I can kind of play with it a little bit. Go down over the top of the eye. And let's draw an eyelash here and an eyelash here and an eyelash here. So I'm suddenly very much aware of the fact that I'm probably too close together. So I'm going to select this eye here and move it over. And get my paintbrush again. Let's look at them both together. They look pretty good like that. I like them. We could, if we wanted to, just for fun, pick the paintbrush, do a light blue, and I'm just kind of thinking this out as I'm going, seeing if it's something I want. I'm going to go back to black again. And I can paint over the top of what I've done. And that will be okay because it kind of erases what's underneath as I'm going. I kind of like that. I think she looks pretty good. So to make her nose, I'm going to keep it really simple. I don't want to get too complicated. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to use my paintbrush and zoom in. And I'm just going to make kind of like an upside down U like that. Now to make her mouth, it's really easy to make a mouth that's kind of like a cartoony like mouth. All you have to do is come in here. We're going to use red. And we're going to use the paintbrush. And we're going to draw 3 circles. So we want a circle here. A circle here. And a circle here. And then we're going to connect those 3 circles. How's that? Look pretty good, huh? Okay, we're going to push this. We're going to get white. And we're just going to put a little dot of white right there. Okay, let's zoom out. That's not a bad little face, except for you can see, while I've been playing with it, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 inches on that face. That's way too big for the doll that we're making. So I'm going to take it like this. I'm going to select the whole thing, hit size, and go smaller. Now it's more like 2 inches, which is what I want. So let's say, okay, next, and preview. Let's see if we got an embroidery design going on here. There's a little face, and I'm going to just go ahead and save that and embroider it out and see how it comes out on our fabric. Okay, so I embroidered out that face that we created in Design Center. I think it came out pretty good. I gave her green eyeshadow on this one. So then I went ahead and I cut a circle. And you don't have to make it perfect. It's just a circle with probably 1 inch all the way around the face. And then take your needle and thread and sew a stitch that kind of goes in and out and in and out and in and out like that, and then pull on it. It's going to gather up all the way around to make her face like this, and then I'm going to stuff it. I like to use a good firm stuffing. Sometimes those stuffings you buy at Joann's and stuff like that are too springy and they don't make good dolls, so I try and buy one that's nice and firm and will fill up the area really good. So then, let's see, is that going to work? Probably just a little bit more. The general rule is when you're stuffing a head is more stuffing. Nobody ever puts enough in there because you just want to just keep pushing it in there till it's nice and firm and pull it nice and tight. And then I'm going to tie it a knot by putting the thread through the loop like that and tightening it. Let's do it again because I don't want it to slip. There, I think I got it. And sometimes you have to, after you pull it in, you have to kind of shape her a little bit so that she doesn't have too much chin. Sometimes what I do is I just pull up a little bit more. I can put my needle in here and just pull that part up a little bit more. There she is. So then what I'm going to do is I have bought a bunch of these really inexpensive pincushions. I don't remember what store I got them at, but I got them at a discount or a craft store or something at a pretty good price. And I want to make that the back of her head so that we can use it as a pincushion and she can have kind of a funny, whimsical look to her. So I'm going to hold that in my hand. You can see I got my fingers on one side, my thumb on the other. I'm pressing that face right up against it. And I'm going to take a parallel stitch here. And then I'm going to come across to my tomato pincushion and make a parallel stitch and pull on it. And this is why you want to use a good quality, strong thread that's not going to break while you're doing this, because you're kind of pulling this rounded face flat against this tomato pincushion. And we're doing that ladder stitch that we talked about before, back and forth and back and forth, and then pulling nice and tight. All the way around. So I know I just said all the way around, but I lied. You want to go all the way around the outside of her forehead and down to about right here, but don't sew this part right here. Leave that open because we need a place to stick her neck. And then I went ahead and I stitched in the chin a little bit by just pulling it in like that and stitching it so that she had a little bit pointier chin than the original one did. Now here's my doll that we created, and I'm going to take this neck and just kind of push it into that space that we left. And then I'm going to use that ladder stitch to stitch the neck to the face. So I got that done. It took a little bit of work, basically fighting with the needle and holding my mouth in just the right place to get that on there. But it's on there pretty good, and her head's not coming off. So what I want to do now is I want to put just a little bit of hair on here, and it doesn't have to be a lot, just enough to establish the fact that she has hair. And today I'm going to use a 3-in-1 glue. I like this glue because it glues really fast. It's really sticky. I'm just going to put just a tiny bit right here. And I have all different kinds of doll hair that I use, but this is just one of those ones you buy at an arts and crafts store. I never think they're really good for most dolls, but for this little girl with the little bit of hair that we're going to put on it, it's going to work exactly the way we want it to. So I wanted to show you this one here that I finished. I put a different kind of hair on her. That is like a wool roving that's put on with a felting needle. But I wrapped the ribbon around it, put a bow on the back. And I really kind of like the way she came out. And then this one here, I put a ruffle around the pincushion, and I gave her a little bun in the back and some bangs. She has some pins in her mouth. So, but after you finish putting her head on and doing whatever you want to do as far as her hair and embellishments, we're going to put a bunch of buttons. And all you got to do is go through your button jar and find what fits on the wire and just push them all up in there to finish up her arms. And then we're going to put her hands on there, as you can see. And I'm going to show you in the next lesson how we make those great hands. They really are really nice because you can actually have her hold something because her fingers bend. So she's holding that seam ripper. So in the next one, we'll go ahead and do the hands, and then we'll finish her skirt and make a little apron for her. So she'll be all finished.